The American Bus Association presents Motorcoach Travel News. Here's Dan Ronan.
Welcome to the August edition of Motorcoach Travel News, MTN. I'm Dan Ronan in Washington. We begin today with a tribute to Jessica Ghawi, the daughter of longtime and much beloved ABA member Sandy Phillips of San Antonio. Jessica was just 24, an aspiring sportscaster and journalist. She was out on her own and beginning a career when she died along with 11 others in the July 20th Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting.
So Friday, y'all are playing the Texas Stars.
Jessica was laid to rest recently. Her family and many friends are saddened by her loss and the lives that were cut short. Jessica was a vibrant, ambitious, much-beloved woman who had moved to Denver from San Antonio to work as a sports reporter.
I was blessed. Only for 25 years, but I was blessed.
The family and friends are keeping Jessica's memory and spirit alive. The Jessica Redfield Sports Scholarship has been established by Sandy and her brother Jason. Jessica used the name Redfield professionally, so the family has kept it. The family says the fund will be seed money to help young sports reporters who study journalism. The goal is to raise $100,000 in 1 year. And here's a link to it. Sandy Phillips has been a great friend to all of us in the motorcoach tourism and travel industry. And in Texas, she's someone you need to know to do business there. She's certainly been involved with ABA a lot, serving on several committees. And we ask that you consider making a donation to the Jessica Redfield Scholarship. We also ask that in these difficult days ahead, you keep Jessica, Sandy, and the family in your thoughts and prayers. Motorcoach Travel News, MTN, continues from Washington in just a moment.
ABA's marketplace means business. $79 million in total booked business, $58,000 per company.
We've had a very successful few days here.
Just all here at one roof. It's been a great experience here this week at ABA.
Yeah, there has been genuine interest, and I have dates on my books.
So I meet old friends and also make the connects for new people and new business with. So it's very successful.
There's a lot of energy, and the energy seems to follow ABA wherever they go.
ABA's Marketplace 2013, the first and best travel and tourism conference of the year. Business, networking, education, and a lot of fun. Charlotte, North Carolina, January 5th through the 9th.
This is head and shoulders, hands down, absolutely the best conference I've ever attended.
Back on Motorcoach Travel News, the National Transportation Safety Board has just issued a tough report for the deadly Sky Express crash in May 2011 near Doswell, Virginia. This is NTSB animation of the crash as the driver falls asleep, loses control of the motorcoach, and rolls the vehicle, crushing the roof, causing the deaths and the injuries. The NTSB blames the driver, Sky Express, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration for the crash. In the 10 months before the accident, Sky Express had been cited for violations 204 times, but was negotiating with FMCSA to continue operating on the day the accident occurred. The board found the driver was severely fatigued and fell asleep at the wheel in the middle of the night. He had numerous opportunities to sleep days before the accident, but did not. The board also strongly criticized the poor safety management of Sky Express and the quality of safety oversight from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
The sad news, however, is the crash that we are here to discuss today should never have happened. It was entirely preventable. Those travelers were failed at 3 levels: by the driver, by the operator, and by the regulator.
The driver is scheduled to go on trial November 8th, facing 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. The dispatcher facing similar charges. The full NTSB report is on our website, buses.org and ntsb.gov. The new highway transportation bill recently signed by President Obama will make it tougher for badly run or illegally operating bus companies such as Sky Express to get into or stay in the business. There's more information about the new bill on our website at buses.org. But today we're going to focus on parts of the legislation that will help well-run companies. Here are some of the highlights. It provides for greater flexibility in rural transportation, giving motor coach operators more opportunities to provide service from smaller to larger communities. It makes permanent the axle weight exemption for motor coaches. It calls for a study to examine the benefits of public transportation companies contracting with private carriers to transport passengers.
With more on the new legislation, I'm joined by ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso. Pete, what are some of the most important changes in your mind in this bill?
Well, the legislation requires there be new regulations for seat belts, for fire suppression, and for roof strength. Congress has given the Department of Transportation anywhere from 1 to 3 years to develop these regulations. Once they're developed, the manufacturers of coaches will have 3 years to implement those. Now, having said that, there are also other requirements that are working their way through the Department of Transportation, regulations that they've looked at before and that they're looking at now, including the seatbelt regulation, which should be out sometime this year.
When we were at the NTSB the other day, the chairman, Deborah Hersman, said that she's seen that many of these safety improvements are already in the pipeline and the manufacturers are ahead of the government on this.
Yeah, most manufacturers, in fact, virtually all manufacturers that we're aware of, are already putting seat belts in most of their coaches. In fact, one manufacturer told us that they believe about 90% of the coaches are being ordered with seat belts in them. The seat belt regulation is working its way through the Department of Transportation. We expect to see it sometime in 2012. There's also been extensive testing by the Department of Transportation on roof strength, and we think we'll see a regulation or a proposed regulation come out fairly soon. And stability control is another regulation that's working its way through the Department of Transportation. So many of the issues that have been addressed by Congress and by the NTSB in recent and past hearings are already working their way through the regulatory process.
Clyde Hart, ABA's Senior VP for Government Affairs here, played a really key role in all of this, didn't he?
Yeah, Clyde has put a tremendous amount of effort over the last years on this reauthorization bill. And Clyde's background as an attorney, having worked for the old ICC, having worked on Capitol Hill for a senior member, in fact, the former chairman of the Commerce Committee, and having run the FMCSA at the Department of Transportation, is perfectly positioned and perfectly qualified to be doing the work that needed to be done to make sure the industry got what it needed in the legislation that passed Congress just a few weeks back. I don't think that anybody else in the industry brings to the table what Clyde has brought or would have been able to make the kinds of strides the industry made. It was really Clyde that got most of this done for everybody.
What are some of the specifics we're going to see in this legislation now that it's been signed by the President?
The legislation gives the Department of Transportation specific time frames to work on the regulations, to develop the regulations, to do the appropriate testing that needs to take place. In some cases, some of that work has already been done. And then it gives typically 3 years in almost every instance time for the manufacturers to develop and engineer the changes in the regulations into the actual manufactured coach on a going forward basis. So in about 5-6 years from now, we're going to see a tremendous number of changes to the coach, whether it's seat belts, whether it's design, whether it's the roof, possibly extra egress points, and certainly fire suppression and stability control as well.
ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso joining us on this edition of MTN. Thanks for joining us on MTN. Early registration for Marketplace 2013 in Charlotte has just ended, and we all know that as a business person, the question you'll ask yourself before deciding which show to attend in January is the return on investment.
ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso has written a letter to delegates explaining this past January in Grapevine, Marketplace generated nearly $80 million in business and nearly $58,000 per attendee.
George Mason University business professor Jim Wolf has read the report. He joins us on MTN. Professor, why is it important for delegates when they're considering which show to attend to look at return on investment?
A trade show or a business-to-business exchange like Marketplace, where you're actually focused on business, you get a really high dollar return on the time spent there. People like to do business with people they like, and you get to know someone, trust them, and like them through that personal connection.
In these difficult economic times, isn't it better to go with a proven show of 35 years than one that might be considered an experiment?
In this economy, I would be advising my clients to spend the money wisely and go to a proven show where I know I'm going to get those business appointments.
In addition to more than 130,000 scheduled appointments, there's also a lot of opportunities to network. As a business professor, tell me why that's so important.
networking starts with a personal connection. And so I think that a place like ABA is a place for people to meet others that they haven't seen before, and to actually shake hands and look somebody in the eye and get that first kind of personal connection that starts the whole business process rolling.
Business professor Jim Wolf with George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. Thanks for joining us on MTN. Motorcoach Travel News, MTN continues in just a moment. We have additional information about Marketplace. Each year, the Marketplace Committee selects a well-deserving nonprofit in the host city to be a part of Marketplace Gives Back. This year, A Child's Place in Charlotte was selected. A Child's Place helps homeless children stay in school and make education a key component of their lives. The organization says stability and education are the key to solving this problem, and it's working. 97% of children in the program are promoted to the next grade. 92% read on their grade level. The ABA looks forward to working with A Child's Place at Marketplace. The ABA also has its fall membership specials coming up. The Member Get a Member program allows you to spread the word about how ABA provides networking and other business development opportunities, government advocacy, and knowledge to help you connect with others in the motorcoach tour and travel community. And you'll have the opportunity to win up to a $1,000 cash award. Marketplace 2013 will also have several days of high-quality professional educational seminars to grow your business. ABA offers more than 40 quality seminars conducted by top-rated national speakers and industry experts focusing on 3 tracks: personal and professional development, industry tools, and business management. Coming up next month on Motorcoach Travel News, the long-awaited ABA Top 100 results are out. How did your destination do? We'll take a look at the #1 place to visit on a motorcoach and its historical significance. Also, did you know that a laptop or tablet may be one of the main reasons why the motorcoach industry is seeing a steady increase in the number of riders? We'll explain why. And that's our report. Again, in closing, please consider a donation to the Jessica Redfield Sports Scholarship, and let's remember Sandy Phillips' daughter in our prayers. The family says the support of fellow ABA members during these difficult times is much appreciated. As always, if you have a story idea, drop me an email at mtn@buses.org. I'm Dan Ronan with the American Bus Association. MTN is a joint production of the ABA and Terrapin Blue Productions. Thanks for joining us.